guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. This is actually a little bit of a good news kind of segment. More proof men's work is essential. AI to replace mostly women's jobs. Now, of course, whose fault is it? Well, it's the men and the AI's fault. It's not women's fault. You know this. We could never say it was women's fault. From Bloomberg, AI threatened jobs are mostly held by women, study shows. Now, if you think about this, what do a lot of men do? Men and women hold a lot of similar jobs, but when it comes to the dangerous jobs, the manual jobs, the jobs outside, the physical jobs, the collecting trash, welding, things where you actually have to work with your hands, that is overwhelmingly men. What do women do? They sit in human resources and complain about men. So they have from Bloomberg, while artificial intelligence is seeding upheaval across the workforce, from screenwriters to financial advisors, the technology will disproportionately replace jobs typically held by women, according to human resources analytics firm Revelio Labs. Now listen to this. This is so ridiculous, guys. The distribution of genders across occupation reflects the biases deeply rooted in our society, with women often being confined to roles such as administrative assistants and secretaries, said Haki Who Cares, economist at Revelio Labs. Consequently, the impact of AI becomes skewed along gender lines. Guys, do you remember all the times that when we put up signs hiring for construction and welding and garbage and plumbing and electrical and roofing and paving and oil refineries and all these other jobs? Do you remember all the postings out there that say women need not apply? What's that you say? No, neither do I. Women don't enter them because those jobs don't pay the best and they're hard. Like you literally sweat and build calluses and have to be physical. What do women do? They take the easiest jobs and they sit in air-conditioned offices and they do human resource stuff. And the funny thing again is it's women that are making these choices, not the men. For years, men have been like, yeah, we'll, get women in STEM. And women say, we need more women in sciences and technologies and engineering and mathematics. Okay, you can go to college and get lots of scholarships for that. How many women are entering the field? Not many. They have no interest in it. You can't force someone to do something they don't want to do. Women like to work with people and use their emotions. Men like to traditionally work with objects and use their hands and their brains. So, of course, they're going to blame it big on gender lines. Of course they are. They say Revelio Labs identified jobs that are most likely to be replaced by AI based on the study by National Bureau of Economic Research, then identified the breakdown of those jobs and found that many of them are generally held by women, such as bill and account collectors, payroll clerks, and executive secretaries. Right, because they're relatively easy, menial, repetitive jobs in air conditioning. It's as simple as that. Here's a breakdown of it. Bill and account collectors, payroll and timekeeping clerks, executive secretaries, word processors and typists, bookkeeping, accounting, and auditing clerks, interpreters and translators, proofreaders and copy markers, writers and authors, telemarketers, secretaries, administrative assistants, production planning, expediting clerks, and then they give the average of all jobs. Sales representatives, computer programmers, web developers, and information security analysts are lower, obviously, but those are still jobs at risk. What do all these things up above have in common? You're sitting at a desk, you're mostly working with other people, and you're sitting on a computer. But what you don't see, and this is something I mentioned a little while ago, and I haven't talked about this too much, but it is something you need to be aware of, especially if you're wanting to be a computer programmer, a tax accountant, maybe a legal secretary or a paralegal or something like that. You're going to be out of a job very quickly within the next year or two. I think I did a story on IBM looking at replacing 75,000 jobs. Well, how do you combat this? I hate to say it. I'm a network engineering guy. I sit at a computer and do it was very challenging computer things where I had to work on a Linux terminal and look through logs and find errors. And then blah, 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 blah. Like it might take you several days to find bug in a software. AI might be able to replace that. Like my old job might be done instantly. But knowing this, if I were a 20, 22, 24, 30, 35-year-old guy getting ready to switch jobs or looking at this and I go, I might be in trouble, I might learn to weld. And I legitimately mean this. I might learn to weld. I might learn to do plumbing or electrician. I don't want to do roofing. That's not my thing because I don't find that would be challenging enough. But I would learn a trade where you need to show up to a job and you need to install some pipes or some electrical lines and then connect, 110 and 220 volt and all the other goodness. So it's mostly the women that are going to be suffering. And there are men that are going to be suffering this too. But men usually are the ones that are like, look, I'm not going to be able to do what I want. But hey, I got to pay the bills. I got to do what I got to do. That's men. Women aren't like that. You're not going to see women all of a sudden seeing this and hearing that their job is going to expire. And they're going to say, you know what, I've decided I'm going to be, I don't know, a forklift driver. I've decided I'm going to be, I don't know, a welder. That's not women, that's men. So I think we're going to see a lot of women that are all of a sudden going to be out of a job, and they're going to be looking around for, hey, I could use a husband that is a welder or an electrician. All of a sudden that feminism is going to go right out the window, and they're going to be say, oh, let's be stunning and brave and find myself a husband so I can stick out at home. They say advances in AI are aggravating gender disparity in the global workforce, where companies are considering cutting some staff and leveraging generative AI in their workflow. International Business Machine Corp recently said it slowed down hiring for roles that can easily be replaced by AI in back office functions such as human resources. And the world celebrated. Karen is going to be replaced by AI. Chief Executive Officer Avind Krishna predicts as many as 30% of those positions could be replaced by automation over 5 years, potentially resulting in a loss of around 7,800 jobs. Now, they're talking about one particular company. 30% of all these positions around the United States could be millions and millions and millions of jobs. Now, of course, those people all of a sudden are unemployed. And if you're like, let's say you are an accountant or a programmer or something like that, that does keep his job, that means not only are you competing against AI, you're competing against women that now want to enter your work world. Where are you going to be safe from that? In all the professions I just previously mentioned. Getting your hands dirty, working. AI is more likely to take over repetitive jobs, the kinds that are mostly held by women. That's kind of what I said earlier. For example, OpenAI's Inc. ChatGPT model can search, review, and summarize large volumes of text quickly, tasks that would normally take paralegals much longer to accomplish. In recruitment, AI can automate the process of sorting through resumes, a task that used to require more people. Now, here's the thing with this, though, to be careful. There was an attorney, I just read a story about this. There was an attorney that used AI to look up case law and case studies, and the AI responded with about half a dozen cases that pertain to this guy's like legal defense of somebody. Turns out the AI made up the cases. They weren't even real legal cases. So there is going to be some gray area to this, but not for very long. This stuff is coming. And that's why I don't get a lot of views on my AI stuff. I just don't. But I'm telling you, what's going to happen is it's going to be slow and then suddenly, where things are going to plod along slowly for a little while until things get figured out. And then all of a sudden, everybody's going to be like, there's a ton of people that are going to be out of jobs or really suffering. They say, but it doesn't mean that there's other highly skilled workers can feel secure about their jobs. Preliminary research also shows that generative AI may impact high-wage occupations more than non-traditional manufacturing jobs, according to Revelio Labs. Moving forward, providing retraining opportunities will be key for women to navigate and evolving the job landscape. Notice they don't say also men that might be suffering from AI. Then they don't care. Who cares about what? By doing so, we can capitalize on the potential of AI while leveraging their valuable skills and expertise, says Bloomberg. Was this written by a woman? I'm curious. Deanna Lee. Of course it was. Why? Because most women are journalists, so they're going to get replaced. More copyright and proofreaders are women. They're going to get replaced. And you can hear the bent of this. It's, yes, women's jobs will mostly be affected, but there's a lot of jobs in general that will be. And I think what will happen at some point is that AI will replace so many jobs that companies will have to, for every AI, machine, or for every job that AI position is taking, the government will knock on their door. Because this is just how this stuff goes. And it's not going to turn out great, let me tell you right now. This is gonna break. I really feel this is gonna break down society. What they'll do is they'll say, okay, this job, Karen at Human Resources, she used to make $50,000 a year doing her job, but now we have an AI generated thing that can replace her. So the government will go to the company and say, okay, since you're not paying a human, it's going to cost you $20,000 a year for this computer employee. And I don't know if they can push back, but you know how the governments are. And so the business may say, okay, well, it's still half price. So they'll give the $20,000 to the government. The government will take 94% of it. And they'll say, okay, Miss Human Resources that used to have a job, here's your universal basic income of $1,500 a month. And the government will keep the rest. And there you go. And what's going to happen is there's going to be so many people that get caught. It's almost like, I don't know, just government handouts at this point, like a social program or a welfare program where you'll have just enough to get by, but never better yourself, never improve yourself. And if you go out and get another job on top of that, they'll probably dock the pay. How do you navigate this? I think the only way that's going to happen is you got to learn a manual trade. You're going to have to, and the good news is that if you get, say, a basic stipend from the government, these jobs that require manual labor like garbage or welding or electric or anything like that, they're going to have to pay you significantly more than what the government is giving you just to be alive, because otherwise people are going to say, well, I'm not going to do the work then, and I'm just going to sit at home. So maybe then you might see more people coming forward to those jobs, which means you might want to get in it now. You might want to get to a senior role or where you have a little bit of job security. You may want to start your own business. You know, I don't have answers for all this stuff. I'll be honest with you. I don't know, but you can kind of see the writing on the wall, and it doesn't look good for anybody at this point. Just my personal opinion. So guys, those of you thinking about college, those of you that are in these type of jobs, maybe it's time to sharpen your resume, take some classes at a college, go see if you can apprentice somewhere, learn a secondary trade, use some of your money, to pay off those bills and become independent and buy, if you're a renter or you're renting things or you've got bill payments, man, become financially independent, get that land, get off the grid and start doing your own thing. It's just a suggestion. But the way things are going right now, it doesn't look good for anybody. But the women will be the first to go. And, of course, then they're going to come for the men's jobs because women will be competing with you. And Stunning and Brave is going to win over a guy in many jobs most of the time. Guys, I'll leave it there. Don't forget, join me on betterbachelor.locals.com. We got a little bit of a membership drive, hoping you become a supporter over there. It would help me out immensely. And it means I don't have to be beholden to Big Mama YouTube. We'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next one.